Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Forbidden Land podcast. Crazy day this week. That makes literally no sense. Crazy week we've had. We started off the because I consider like from the day that this comes out till the next episode, the whole week. Started off with a huge banger with the death of Robert Mueller of the Mueller report fame. A report that detailed the connection that the Trump campaign had to Russia. Here is what Trump said. Here's what Trump said in response. A really measured, presidential, professional response. Robert Mueller just died. Good. I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt innocent people. President Donald J. Trump. That's the president, people. I mean, I know we're not surprised at this point, but it's kind of crazy that the president is like, I'm glad this public official's dead. He's going to say some shit like that about Biden, by the way. I'm just calling it right now. If he outlives Biden somehow, he's going to say some shit like that about him. I'm calling it right now. I've seen a lot of like strong reactions about this. I'm kind of surprised that people are shocked by this. He can't really do much at this point that'll surprise me. I'm kind of fatigued to the escapades of the president. I mean, he said he was glad that Rob Reiner died. Said that Rob Reiner. He said that Rob Reiner had Trump derangement syndrome. Stuff like that alone. Like, I'm not shocked. The whole happy 9/11, even to the haters and losers on 9/11 saying now I have the tallest building in New York. Like, is anybody genuinely surprised that this is the type of shit that he says about people that die that are considered his enemies? Like, come on. Are people really that surprised? So, moving on. Let's talk about Israel. That's kind of what the whole theme of this episode's going to be, is Israel. The country that you can't criticize ever. Because, I mean, AIPAC has been going crazy. And pro-Israel defenders have been going nuts on this talking point this week specifically. And it's the whole, like, you say anything bad about Israel and they go crazy on you. Recently, the Illinois District 9 House Democratic primary occurred, where Kat Abou-Ghazaleh came pretty damn close to toppling Daniel Biss, a seasoned politician, in a pretty hotly contested House seat. And Daniel Biss still came out on top, but regardless of that, Kat got second place, not that far behind him, but Laura Fine ate up a large chunk of those votes, and Daniel Biss obviously outdid her in that regard. But why did Laura Fine get so many of these votes? Why did Kat not win despite how much momentum and popularity she had? She was the anti-Israel candidate. She was the only one willing to give bold, direct answers to questions, has very progressive stances. Granted, a couple of her foreign policy positions are not great, specifically when it comes to Taiwan. But regardless of that, she had the best campaign in the race that was close to actually having a chance at winning. And she still lost. But she got second place. It's pretty good. Why did that happen? AIPAC dumped $20 million into this race. They were running ads for Laura Fine. They were running ads in pseudo support of that other socialist candidate in the race, in order to make her a spoiler candidate to Kat Abou-Ghazaleh. Um, APAC is even on like Twitter bragging about them being able to basically rig this election. Um, someone made some organization named Justice Democrats made a tweet talking about, um, you know, Kat just narrowly lost the Illinois 9 primary. This loss takes nothing away from the trailblazing campaign Kat ran. This was still a massive loss for AIPAC, who spent over $7 million to come in third place. I believe they spent $20 million in total over the course of like multiple elections for these past few primaries. But she came pretty damn close, which is impressive. Well, AIPAC is on Twitter right now, defending, or not defending, but bragging, saying we were very proud to help defeat her and all your candidates tonight. A foreign entity, the Israeli lobby. I want you to just think about that. I want you to think about that. A foreign country's organization is lobbying the government and is rigging elections in the United States of America. Now, it's no telling if the lack of AIPAC would have led to a Kat win, but I think we have a lot of evidence to support that being the possible reality. Why is AIPAC openly bragging about essentially rigging an American election to get another candidate that's more pro-Israel selected as the Democratic candidate? Because, I mean, this district is pretty strongly blue, so it's likely that the Democrat will win this district. But damn, this is just so out in the open. And I think people are seeing it. I mean, people recognize the arrogance of the Israeli lobby, because this is like the only race where they made even a small dent in the results. A lot of the other races across the country, they've been completely just bombing, man. Completely shitting the bed on. I just don't understand how they thought this would be a good look to start bragging. I mean, go ahead, burn as much money as you want on these races. The pro-Israel narrative in this country is falling apart, and no amount of financial backing can save it. The more people see the absolute destruction and genocide in Gaza, the more people see the reckless and bordering on soon to be probably genocidal incursion and seizure of land in southern Lebanon, the unnecessary, expensive, and just ridiculously stupid war with Iran that we are absolutely losing right now. People are seeing the writing on the wall. They're seeing a rogue state, Israel. They're seeing a country that has its fingers all in our politics. All in it. All in our businesses. A country that has lobbied the governments across many states to ban anti-Israel speech, anti-Israel protest, anti-Israel boycotts. They've meddled with our government to the extent that we give them endless money. Just endless money. We fund their healthcare system, their defense systems, their offensive systems. We damn near own the Israeli government. We fund it so fucking much. This country has just like grabbed us by the nuts, man. And I think people are recognizing that. That's why the popularity of Israel has tanked so hard, especially amongst Democrats. I believe amongst Democrats, approval for Israel is negative 50 something, like somewhere in the negative mid 50 range. And it used to be like a plus 35 or some shit like that, just a couple of years ago. So big opinion changes in at least the Democratic Party, in regards to Israel. Speaking of the war in Iran, this is our war in Iran segment. I should make like a transition or something where I'm like, dun 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 dun, war in Iran, you know. This is going to be just an ongoing segment from here on out, it seems. But it seems that I believe the last number I saw was 13 service members have been killed in the Iran war. I'm not sure if that number's gone up, but because these soldiers have died, Trump has decided, or at least someone on his staff or something, someone in his orbit, someone in his cancerous, like 500-mile range of assholery and horrific human being orbit, have decided to take the deaths of service members, of people who have needlessly died in this expensive war for Israel, and they've taken these deaths and are now trying to fundraise off of it.
Something that was released about.
Here is I believe this is Senator Mark Kelly talking about one of the fundraising emails.
And I just want to point out something that was released about 6 days ago. This is a fundraising email from the president of the United States. And in this email here, where there's multiple links to donate money, it says, as a national security briefing member, you'll receive my private national security briefings. Director Gabbard or Director Radcliffe, do you think the public should be able to, supporters of the president should be able to pay and receive his private national security briefings? I assume these are briefings, Director Radcliffe, that you provide to the president that is now going to be provided to somebody who makes a
regardless
donation.
of what that I don't know what that document is, but regardless of what it says, it didn't happen.
Well, no, this is new.
But what I'm telling you is that the Hatch Act would prevent me from an apolitical role from engaging in that. I'm not aware that anything like that happened.
Yeah, this says unfiltered updates. So, Director Gabbard, do you have any comment on whether unfiltered updates of private national security briefings should be made to individuals that donate to the president?
I'm not familiar with that document, and
It's been made very public 6 days ago. We'll get you a copy here, because I agree with you, Director Ratcliffe, that the Hatch Act should prohibit this type of conduct. And
using pictures from the pictures of the American flag draped caskets that the dead service members are in your fundraising email, and selling off national security intelligence for money. Dude, how much more money are they going to take from us? How much more money are they going to siphon into their pockets? I want you to realize, because this isn't the only thing that they've done with this war to profit off of it. There have been multiple bets in markets on whether the U.S. will strike Iran, of whether we're going to strike Karg Island, or we're going to bomb the Strait of Hormuz or something. And then a decision is made after like a big buy-up of all this prediction shares. A decision is made. It's executed by the White House. And then somebody ends up making like millions of dollars as a result. Just the most blatant case of insider trading I've ever seen in my life. I mean, what is going on, man? They're profiting off of this entire conflict. Dude, it's rumored that Trump has already made like $2 billion. Trump and his family have seemingly already made about $2 billion off the government so far. Probably more. It's insane. this whole government, and I said this before the 2024 election. I said Trump wants to win for a few major reasons. So he doesn't go to jail, so he can profit off the office, because that's what he did in Trump 1. And so he can get his infinite drug supply, which is also what he did in Trump 1. That's it. That's all he wants it for. Money, power, and illicit substances, I guess. That's the only reason why he wanted to be president. Because I even said at the time, I said it doesn't even seem like he wants it. He had no steam. He looked so bad in debates, but Joe Biden outshined him in the debate. But Trump, compared to his first debate performances in 2020 and 2016, he completely flubbed it. He looked horrible. And I said at the time that I don't think he wants this. I think he's just doing it because he has to, or else he's going to go to prison. And this is why. I mean, they're just profiting off of it. I believe I just read an article that said that the White House signed a contract with Trump Jr.'s company for like hundreds of millions of dollars. What are we doing? Why are we doing that? That's so insane that they're just openly taking money from the government. From you. They're taking money from you. They're rigging markets for themselves. They're rigging markets for themselves. You know, they're rigging the whole system against you. You know, this is why, like, they want to pass the SAVE Act and all that, and I'll get to that stuff later. But this is why they're doing the stuff that they're doing. I want to show you another horrific clip, because I think my theory is holding true right now, that he's been given some poor health prognosis and he knows he's going to probably die, and like soon. And so he's just doing anything he can to maintain like a memorable legacy for something that's not negative. Like, obviously he's already cemented in the halls of US history, right? Second president to ever win 2 non-consecutive terms, first president to ever be impeached twice. Which is crazy that he got impeached once and made it out of the peach somehow after they put him in a peach. And then they managed to put him back in another peach. And then he made it back out of that peach. It's so crazy. I don't know how he did that. But he's already cemented as a historic presidential figure, but not for good reasons. He's infamous. And I think he wants to feel like an important president for good reasons. And I mean, one, that's not how his history is going to reflect on him. He's going to be known as like the Adolf Hitler of America in the future. I'm sure of it. He's pissed off enough people. He's going to be known as like the fucking Adolf Hitler of our generation. But I think it's also enabled him to just say whatever he wants, with no regard for the consequences. Like, he just says shit. Like when he claimed last week that Iran bombed its own elementary school with a U.S. Tomahawk missile. Like, he just said that. I think he just says shit now to see what kind of reaction he'll get. Let me show you this clip. This is like one of the most shocking things I've ever seen in my life.
Of course, no, Japan and US are very good friends. But one question, why didn't you tell US allies in Europe and Asia, like Japan, about the war before attacking Iran? So,
if you're wondering, when we attacked Tehran, there were Japanese nationals in Tehran, and we didn't warn anybody that we were doing this. So we just went in. I mean, we didn't even warn our own Congress, let alone warn our allies who might have nationals or citizens in the region. So that is why he's asking this question.
We are very confused about we Japanese citizens.
Well, one thing, you don't want to signal too much. You know, when we go in, we went in very hard, and we didn't tell anybody about it because we wanted surprise. Who knows better about surprise than Japan? Okay? Why didn't you tell me about Pearl Harbor? Okay?
I just want you to look at her face. Why would somebody say something like that? Now, as a history buff, I gotta say, kind of based, unfortunately. I get for calling it based. I fucking choked to death. As a history buff, Japan deserves it. They deserve humiliation. A lot of their military officials and government should have gone to prison in the Nuremberg trials, and a lot of them didn't. And they were able to rehabilitate their image. When I tell you Japan did some horrific shit, like just before World War II and during World War II, their invasion of China is like one of the most vomit-inducing, like disgusting things I've ever read in my entire history journey. It's up there, man. Like what they were doing with babies in Nanking. Come on. Yeah, I don't really feel that bad for humiliating Japan like this. It's just shocking. It's shocking to hear this from the president. And he's like giving a pretty, I mean, granted, it's a pretty awful response, but it's not like super out of the ordinary for him. But then there's like this weird switch in his head where he just decides, fuck it, I'm saying it. Where he's like, screw it. I'm going to make a Pearl Harbor joke. Why?
Because we wanted surprise. Who knows better about surprise than Japan?
Like, he's like, surprise. Who knows better about surprises than Japan?
Okay, why
And you can even see she's like prepping for what he's about to say next.
didn't you tell me about Pearl Harbor? Okay? Right?
Dude, the room. The ooh.
You know, he's asking me, no, you believe in surprise, I think much more so than us. And we had.
Wow. I mean, on one hand, I think on one hand, I'm kind of okay with us flaming Japan like this because of what they did during World War II. But on the other hand, it's like, why would you say something like that? As the American president, why are you making Pearl Harbor jokes to the Japanese prime minister? It's kind of crazy. Like I felt like when I saw this for the first time, I felt visceral shock. I just didn't expect that. When I saw it, I saw the edit where it's the Dexter music over it with all like the reaction images cut in and out. So I was genuinely kind of taken aback. I thought it was a fake clip at first. So I think it's just so crazy that he said this. Why didn't you tell me about Pearl Harbor? Oh my god, man. So in the actual war itself, Iran has been striking back. The U.S. and Israel have been doing some strikes here and there. The thing that sucks for me about this war, because it's all about me, folks, is the fact that all of my news ends up being super old. Like, here's a strike on Israel. All my information ends up being incredibly old because the U.S. does this weird thing. They wait for the markets to close, and then they start doing strikes. I just don't get it. I mean, I get it, but also like, why? Um, yeah, Trump told reporters that the Strait of Hormuz may be jointly controlled by him and the Ayatollah. Brother, what? We only really make big moves on the weekend right now because it's when the markets are closed. So he doesn't get that immediate visceral response. But like gas prices have started to drop a little bit because of shit that he says. This is what I don't get. This is how I know. Look, the economy is fake. Money's fake. All of this is fake. It's all bullshit. When Trump says something, you don't believe it because he's always lying. He's almost never telling the truth. And yet, every time he says something about how the war is going, these companies take it as gospel, and gas has dropped like 40 cents, and it's going to backfire because we're going to do some fuck shit. It's going to fuck up the oil supply even further, and then gas is going to jack up another full dollar. And I'm going to be at the pump paying $5 a gallon instead of $3.50. Ooh. So here, let's watch this propaganda video from Iran, which I find particularly funny. I don't know if this music is copyright, by the way. I just can't believe this shit, man. The emoji. And all the pictures they use of Trump, too. I particularly love this photo of Trump, where he just looks like really angry. I don't even know how to recreate that. I don't even know what this is from, because it barely looks like him. Damn. A fucking fat side profile of him. Yeah, this video is so insane. And then this part where he called on NATO to help him continue the invasion, and they all said no. Yeah, I mean, you've seen enough. Go check it out, because it is really funny. It really does remind me of when that Iranian official said that our heroes, they can't strike back on our heroes because our heroes are SpongeBob. But like, yeah, the closing of the Strait of Hormuz has been such a disaster for the war so far. I mean, it's completely, the war already started with a low popularity, with low polling. People were not fucking with it. People did not like it. And the closing of the Strait of Hormuz has just made it infinitely worse. Like gas prices have shot up. The price of goods has started going up because oil prices are higher, meaning shipping is more expensive. Yeah. I've watched the price of goods go up on like everything around me. The price of water, like water in cases, has gone up. Like what? You know how long it's been since I've seen a price change on water? The US and Israel are constantly trying to claim that there will be a tax on like the US or Israel. Apparently they are attempting to conduct false flag operations in the Gulf states, and possibly even in Europe. Because, you know, NATO said no. Members of NATO said no, they weren't going to help us in the Iran war. So, there was like a press event on Friday last week where like Trump gave different accounts of how the war was going like every other minute. Like at 12:05 he declared victory. At 12:07 he announced he was sending Marines. At 12:08 he said no boots on the ground. At 12:11 he said he did not want a ceasefire. At 12:16 he declared victory again. At 12:17 he asked for a ceasefire. At 12:23 he told NATO they were cowards. At 12:29 he said Iran was begging for a ceasefire. I mean, good lord, can somebody get their president? bro's bro's just flip-flopping back and forth, that dementia brain. Yeah, this war is not going well for us, like, at all. However, there is a secondary proxy war going on. Not really much of a proxy if one of the major players in the main war are perpetrating it, but one of the goated side wars we've got going on right now is just letting Israel invade Lebanon. They are destroying multiple bridges across southern Lebanon, which completely isolates communities and cuts them off from aid. Here's a video of them blowing up a bridge. This is a war crime, in case you are curious. These are war crimes. And to destroy such a pretty place and kill all these innocent people, it really makes you think, why would anybody want to like Israel? Why? Genuinely. They're wiping out bridges in southern Lebanon that are critical for aid. People can't escape. Ambulances can't get around. Emergency vehicles can't get around. Aid and supplies are completely cut off from these communities. I mean, why are they doing this other than to just be cruel and to, and to just start murdering Lebanese people? I mean, it really does show how racist the Israeli government is, as if Gaza didn't prove it enough. The fact that now they're just turning their sights on Lebanese people, and they're barely even hitting that Hezbollah line. They were claiming that, like, Hezbollah was under the schools, they're under the hospitals. They've just stopped doing that pretty much. They're not even banging that bell anymore because it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. They tried to say, like, oh, there were copies of Mein Kampf in some of the kids' bedrooms. Yeah, whenever I find a piece of supremacist, highly racial, like highly racist, genocidal literature in a kid's bedroom, I kill the child and their whole family tree. That's what I do. Yeah, that's a really good justification, Israel, for just murdering everybody is, oh, hey, look, we found this copy of Mein Kampf in their bedroom. Time to murder their whole family tree. And I've seen people here defend that, and I'm like, half of y'all got, like, Confederate flags in your house. Y'all are just as white supremacist as Hitler. By that logic, does Israel get to kill you too? Like, how does that justify the murder of children? They hit that shit in Gaza too, when they were like, look at their calendar. They are writing on their calendar, death to all Jews, and they're marking dates that are important Jewish holidays and calling for death on the Jews. And then it's like a normal calendar with, like, work meeting on this day and birthday party on this day. Like, they're just banking on you not translating the writing on the calendar. Like, they're doing the same thing in Lebanon. Like, oh, we found we found pieces of Nazi literature in a 5-year-old's bedroom. So we blew his head off and paraded it in the city on a stick. What? Why? Yeah, it's so disgusting. Now Israel is seemingly saying that they are going to be seizing land in southern Lebanon. Israel has called for the annexation of southern Lebanon and want to occupy it. Whoa. Yeah, the finance minister Smotrich who is, famous for being a complete evil shitbag. He basically was saying that Israel should expand its borders up into Lebanon. Isn't Smotrich known for something? Yes, he is that guy. I always talk about this every time I see him, where he told that Arab member of the Knesset that Ben Gurion didn't go far enough. I think that was him that said that. Ben Gurion being the first prime minister of Israel. My God. Yeah, Smotrich wants the Israeli border to be up to the Litani River in southern Lebanon. I mean, I guess as an American, it's hypocritical for me to say this, but very imperialist, sir. Just very, gross. They're just, going to take all that land and then push everybody off of it deeper into Lebanon, and then, they're just going to make their way in, farther up into Lebanon? And it's really gross that we're just allowing this to happen. Now, with midterms coming, I want to say there is a candidate running right now. I wrote an article about him where I said that I'm skeptical of him. I want to see more from him. This is mostly due to the fact that John Fetterman broke my heart. I was a big Fetterman guy in those midterms, and now he's completely turned on not only the left, but the Democratic Party. And he's basically just a Republican. So I was skeptical of Graham Plattner, who's running for the Senate in Maine. And I said I wanted to see more from him before I feel comfortable about him. In the wake of, the Nazi tattoo and his background at Blackwater as a security consultant and being a prison guard at Abu Ghraib and fighting in the Iraq War. I wanted to see more from him now. And I will say he is definitely growing on me the more he talks about Israel. Because he is getting bold with it. You're not going to see if the clip will load. We're really not going to be able to watch the clip. You're not going to see Mom Donnie saying something like this, right? And, no knock to Mom Donnie, but he has to play the game. I mean, he has to really tiptoe around a lot of stuff. Okay, this video is just not going to work. Are we for real? Hold on. Let me put it in a different browser. See, this is why Chrome is garbage. This is why Chrome sucks and Firefox is better. Alright, Firefox. Let me see if it's just the video. But I want you to see his take on the Iran war. Because the more stuff he comes out and says about Israel, the more I like him as a candidate. The more he grows on me as a candidate. Holy crap. The link isn't loading at all in Firefox. Did something happen? Did something happen? Brother, none of the videos are working on Twitter. It's always whenever I want to just sit back and shit scroll on social media, everything works just fine. But I'm recording this podcast once a week and something always breaks. Always. Something always breaks. Every single time. Wow, I can't believe I'm saying this, but Facebook Came in clutch. And now the video wants to work on Twitter.
It's a mix of that and Benjamin Netanyahu.
Oh, fuck off.
Found a president that was. I think it's a mix of that and Benjamin Netanyahu finally found a president that was sucker enough to launch the war that he's been pushing for 30 years. But yeah, those are the reasons why.
And speaking of Israel, do you think that the U.S. should stop aiding Israel, should pull back on aid to Israel?
Yes, I mean, I fundamentally believe that a nation that is committing a genocide should not be a place that we are putting money. We should be leveraging the fact that we have a lot of power in this relationship due to our funding. We should be leveraging that.
I hate Twitter. I really do. Broken ass platform. Not only was he bold enough to say that he would stop sending aid to Israel, which will now put him much heavier on AIPAC's radar. Get ready for an incoming, another $500 million dumped into the Maine primary, which won't work, by the way. He's like the very obvious leading candidate right now. But, him then also saying that Israel's committing a genocide and using the genocide word. Yeah. I think he's really growing on me. I think he's growing on me. I appreciate him using that type of terminology in a world where most politicians are too scared, are too spineless to say something like that. Like that one California governor candidate that went on the stream and was like, well, I don't know what a genocide is. Dude, what? You're a billionaire. How do you not know what that is? You've never heard of the Holocaust? Like, the Holocaust is like the main blueprint for what a genocide is. Like, look at that, and there's your definition. It's the systematic destruction of a culture or a race, by way of starvation or murder. Literally just wiping, it's ethnic cleansing on a larger scale. I mean, you can call what happened in Gaza a genocide. It's the ethnic cleansing and systematic mass murder of the Palestinians. I would even say that like something like the Trail of Tears or something like pushing all of the Palestinians out of Israel, out of what became Israel, into the Gaza Strip and into the West Bank. I would consider those events genocidal in nature. So there's your definition, dog. But I'm glad there's a candidate that's actually willing to call something like that a genocide. Thank God. There's a report that came out that in just in the first 2 weeks of the Iran war, that 5 million tons of CO2 has been emitted and launched in the atmosphere in the first 2 weeks. So, as if anything else, as if anything couldn't get any worse, this war is depleting us of all of our money that we could be putting towards social services. It's killing innocent people. It's costing like thousands of innocent lives, and people who signed up were probably preyed upon and signed up for the military who have now died for Israel and its interests. And it's destroying the environment on like a widespread scale. Yay. All right. That's what I had to say about the Iran war. There was another thing where it was like Israel is calling on a emergency like UN meeting because Iran was using cluster munitions, and they're like, "Oh, that's a war crime. That's a war crime." So now war crimes are a thing? Are we serious? Like, now you guys are crying about war crimes? Y'all have been doing war crimes every day. Y'all have done war crimes in the current war. in just the first 3 weeks. Y'all have done war crimes. And now you're going to cry about war crimes to the UN because they launched cluster missiles at you? Cry me a river, man. Seriously. Cry me a fucking river. All right, let's move on to some domestic news. All right. This is going to be a big topic involving planes and ICE. We're talking about the Department of Homeland Security. So currently we're in a partial government shutdown where Congress has refused to fund the Department of Homeland Security. Right now, this is primarily affecting the TSA. I'm sure at some point it will strangle ICE. But, I mean, ICE's budget is so large, it's going to take a while. But so the TSA is underfunded right now. It's not getting any new money. And because of that, airport wait times are like 3 hours long for a pre-check line. And, well, what was the president's response to Congress not funding the Department of Homeland Security? Good Lord, the internet sucks in here, man.
As we enter day 36 of the partial government shutdown, with TSA agents, a lot of them not showing up for work because they are not getting paid. We are not seeing a lot of issues at either of these airports tonight, but we've got a different story for you at some other locations. At Houston's Hobby Airport, the TSA wait time topped 3 hours on Friday. It was the same story in Atlanta and at LaGuardia up in New York. So this is what prompted a new warning from President Trump if Congress does not fund the Department of Homeland Security. In a Truth Social post today, Trump said he would deploy ICE agents to busy airports to help with airport security, as well as to arrest undocumented immigrants. He went on to say he looks forward to, quote, moving ICE in on Monday. We will follow this for you, as there were not any specifics from the administration about how this would work.
So, in response to TSA being defunded by this partial government shutdown, the Trump administration is going to send armed, like, pseudo-military police forces into airports to stand around and look at you and to basically intimidate you. We've already seen a video of them throwing a woman in handcuffs. You know, the lines at TSA are hours and hours and hours long. This is apparently Atlanta at 5 a.m. I'm not surprised. I have friends that it took them like an hour and a half just to get through the airport so they could fly to Miami. Like, come on. And people are feeling it. I mean, people seem to be fed up. There have been some recent small special elections that I will get to in a second. But, oh, and then after he says we should fund TSA, after he said that and threatened to deploy ICE, he then says, no shutdown deal until Democrats support the Save America Act. So which is it? We know that this administration is deeply unpopular, which is why they want the Save America Act on the books. Because so far there have been multiple special elections, and historically Republican strongholds have flipped blue. The recent elections, where I showed you the Boca Raton mayor is now a Democrat for the first time in like decades. But also apparently the mayoral election flipped blue for the city of Miami, which is the first time in I think about 30 years that's happened. And it's nuts. It's nuts. Apparently the area that represents Palm Beach and Mar-a-Lago is now represented by 3 Democratic women after a special election. It looks like one of them won in a fairly highly conservative election. Yeah, these election results are like a perfect litmus test for how the midterms are going to roll out. Good Lord, I'm blown out on this camera. It's a good test for how these midterms are going to turn out. It shows that it's insane that a deeply conservative district can flip blue so easily. Good Lord, I'm blown out. But yeah, and this is why they want something like the Save America Act to be on the books, because then they can just basically rig elections for the next few decades to come. I mean, the Save America Act is such a deeply unlawful, unconstitutional, I should say, thing to pass, because it completely violates any voting rights standard. It requires, like, it's literally poll taxes. It's poll taxes all over again. You need a voter ID now instead of just a driver's license, which I think a lot of people don't realize, that this law isn't requiring you to show your driver's license. It's requiring you to get a voter ID, which you would have to pay for, which is just a poll tax. You have to show multiple forms of identification. It affects people who have changed their names, so it doesn't display what it says on their birth certificate, which is a very clear attack on women who have changed their names after getting married. A big attack on a decent amount of men who have done the same thing. It's an attack on trans people who have maybe changed their names as well. It's complete disenfranchisement. Which, ironically, Trump used a mail-in ballot when he voted.
Tell me about mail-in ballots. Go ahead. You mean I used a mail-in ballot? You probably said, yeah, I did.
Why did you
know what? Because I'm president of the United States, and because of the fact that I'm president of the United States, I did a mail-in ballot for elections that took place in Florida, because I felt I should be here instead of being in the beautiful sunshine taking.
But you were in Palm Beach, sir, the last few weekends.
That's right, and I decided that I was going to vote by mail-in ballot because I couldn't be there, because I had a lot of different things. But we have exceptions for mail-in ballots. You do know that, right? So if you're away, we have an exception. If you're in the military, we have an exception. If you're on a business trip, we have an exception. If you're disabled, we have an exception. And if you're ill, if you're not feeling good, whatever. So I was away, mostly in Washington, D.C., so I used a mail-in ballot. But I appreciate the question, because I know it was so well-meaning. Yeah.
So it's okay when he uses a mail-in ballot. It's okay when people who use mail-in ballots under those specific reasons. But also, it's not okay when they use them under those specific reasons. It's all hypocritical. This whole agenda is designed to skew elections in the future towards Republican, because they know that it's mostly Democrats who use mail-in ballots in early voting. Now, the TSA being defunded, the government generally just failing at its job, the government just running on like fumes right now has led to this disaster of a plane smashing into a fire truck. There are all these emergency vehicles on the runway, and a plane rolls up, hits that truck, and just like bulldozes it. And people died. So Here's you know, Trump talking about the TSA funding in Memphis. You know what? I might actually have to postpone these clips for the next episode because I don't think they're going to load. They're all on Twitter. I'll show those clips next episode. But it's like the biggest dick sucking competition I've ever seen in my life. But I'll show that the next episode. Let's end the episode on some good news. Let's talk about New York City. Zoran Mamdani secured a multi-million-dollar settlement for workers in fast food restaurants.
Welcome, everyone. We're at the City Hall.
We're at the Taco Bell.
We're at the combination City Hall and Taco Bell. And I'm here today with our incredible commissioner.
I can't believe I just heard a public official make a reference to this combination Pizza Hut and Taco Bell. My God.
Levine of DCWP to announce some very exciting news. What do we have to tell people today?
Yes, so more than 800 New York City workers are going to get checks or they're going to get money deposited in their account. Today we're announcing 3 different enforcement actions from DCWP. One of them is against Dunkin' Donuts and Taco Bell for not giving workers predictable schedules. One of them is against Theory, the retailer, same issue, not giving workers the schedules that they can predict, plan their lives around. And the third is a lawsuit we're filing against a franchisee in Staten Island, Dunkin' Donuts franchisee, also not giving the workers predictable schedules or protected time off.
So how much money are we talking about that you're announcing in settlement today?
Yeah, so we're talking about almost $2 million back to workers, mostly fast food workers, more than 800 of them across New York City, and also a lawsuit against Dunkin' franchisees to get more money back.
So now before we get a little bit more into this, I think it's only fair that we should try some of the food on offer at City Hall's first ever mukbang. Here we are. Where are you going to start with?
Well, I have this Crunchwrap Supreme has been calling my name.
Okay.
This is great New York. It's good for on the go, easy to eat. Okay. See, it's a pretty big one. I'm going to give it a try.
Please.
All right.
Here we go.
I don't want to be like that McDonald's CEO, you know. It's pretty good though.
Pretty good. All right.
Try it.
I'm also going to go for the Crunchwrap Supreme.
The double bite, man.
I mean, look, for the first lunch we've been able to sit down to in weeks, it's filling, got some cheese in there. I'm
set. Like a 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10.
I mean, I'm eating more. I'm going to upgrade it to an 8 out of 10 for Crunchwrap Supreme.
Thank you to the workers who made this.
That's pretty goated for workers' rights. I'm glad we finally have a pro-worker politician in office. You know, I hope we get more of these DSA candidates in elections, and I hope we get more of them in positions of power. Because this is great. You know, this is why I like Zoran Mamdani. He's made a couple small mistakes here and there so far in the first 3 months, but I think it's been greatly outweighed by the good he's done. I think any messaging around him, any bad press about him can all be overshadowed by the good he's done for New York City so far. Because also the bad press about him is fucking nothing. It's all like nothing stories. So yeah, I think we're seeing a good success story right now of a government that actually works for the people, of a government that actually moves at a reasonable pace and doesn't take 2 years to pass like one piece of legislation. So, all right, that's it for this episode. I'm going to save some topics for the next episode because I don't really have a whole lot of time left to talk about them. But they are important. So, you want to support this podcast, go to patreon.com/forbiddenlandpod. If you want to listen to this podcast on other platforms, you can do that. We're on the Samsung Fridge. Allegedly. We're on, any podcast platform pretty much. If we're not, you can add our feed. It's there. It's somewhere out there. It's on the website that I never plug. Go buy some merch too if you want. I never plug that either. But yeah. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. And I'll see y'all next week. Peace.